my biggest ever single loss on a single day. It was 250k. I was 17 at the time, which was like gut wrenching. It was the morning of my English exam.
When I was 12, for example, I must have been playing either like Minecraft or like CS or something along those lines.
But that trade, netted me, a good six figures. And at the time, it was about 15, 16. But then I got banned, and then I thought, okay, I'm going to switch
For
it.
having the last name Tate?
Yeah, in terms of crypto, I still think meme coins are massive. Potential is limitless because it is really a way to monetize attention.
Bro, it's been a while. Long time, no speak. I think last time we caught up was... literally when we tried to film the first one on the yacht and then the audio wasn't plugged in. But anyway, so let me introduce the guest I have on my non-existent podcast today, Moritz. So we met late last year in Cape Town, and just kind of like hit it off. We were in the same circles, and he's done some really incredible things at only the age of 18 in the crypto space, agency space, but also in the personal branding game. So wanted to invite him on the channel today to kind of just pick his brain on how he actually got to where he has at such a young age. And we'll kind of dive into it, bro.
I appreciate you having me on. I'm doing very well, and it's good to catch up again. Been too long.
Absolutely. How long are you in Dubai for?
Just here for the week for some work and to connect with some friends, but literally in and out, and then back to Cape Town for the summer. So, but I'll move out here probably in a couple months.
Nice. So I did actually do some research before this in terms of like getting to know all of your different podcasts that you've done in the past. So I wanted to kind of start off because I remember either in one of the podcasts or in our previous conversation, you mentioned you started at the age of 12 to 13 in kind of like the early days, right? What was it like back then? Because obviously when I was 12, for example, I must have been playing either like Minecraft or like CS or something along those lines, right? Like what really pushed you towards the field of entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so I mean, the journey started, funny enough, I watched The Wolf of Wall Street, the movie. And at that time I was like, wow, this is like, it's appealing to me. All the degeneracy aside, I was like, wow, this is cool. And I really, that kind of sparked the interest for making money. Before that, I always was like, selling sweets at school. I think the typical things a lot of us, did, but, always doing something. But then I really like got serious about like starting to wanting to make money. And I just assumed from the movie, okay, rich people do stocks. I didn't know what it meant or anything like that. So I very quickly tried to get into trading, but I couldn't sign up for anything under 18. And that's originally how I got into crypto, because I could sign up for crypto exchanges and there was no age limit on it. So that's how I kind of found out about that. And I started really young, but at the same time, I was still playing Fortnite like a normal kid. I wasn't, locked in, like, I was just messing around in the beginning. Yeah. I mean, that started later, still young, but in the beginning, I started learning like a lot from YouTube. I would just sit down, like OG Alex Becker, like way back in there. I mean, a bunch of these guys. And I think that's such an, benefit is just growing up with, internet and be able to learn anything from YouTube. So I would still, go to school, play football, like, play Fortnite, but then, a couple hours a day I'd be spending, watching, Emen back in the day, watching, all these different guys that were making money online. And I very quickly realized that, the age wasn't a limit. I saw these people that were at that time, 17, 18, earning 10K a month. I'm like, if they can do it at 17, why can't I do it at this time? I was near 13. Like, why can't I do it then? And the first thing was from Behez's video, I got into dropshipping. And this was late 2019. And at the time, dropshipping was everywhere. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do. This makes sense. And the first product I ever tried was this 6-pack ab simulator. It was like this very gimmicky. Ronaldo was also selling it at the time. Straight from Alibaba. It was like the most like butchered thing completely. And I went to the biggest guy in the gym. And I was like, hey, can you film this ad for me? And I paid him 200 Rand, which is like $10. And I was like, hey, I just need like 30 seconds, like a cinematic of him flexing. And then edited in iMovie. And then I did it, and it was like copyrighted music, that can't work. And then I did like some elevator type music. It was horrible. I still have the old ad for it. And then I put that on Instagram. At the time, I wasn't like running ads on it. I was actually from a bunch of local like fitness influencers. I had basically paid them, and I did some theme pages, and I was paying them to promote this product. I had a website built, and it was very retro. And I made my first couple $100,
nice.
which nothing crazy, but at that time I was like, just for me, it flicked the switch that it was possible. Like it didn't matter that I was, in South Africa, it didn't matter about my age, didn't matter anything. Like, no one knew who was behind, these stores, and I could just run them and sell these products. And, it was money. There was money in my account. Very quickly it ran dry. I tried to get into paid ads with it. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was still a kid, and I basically completely ran dry. And I'd saved up just about like $500 to $600 from doing this, as well as I was walking dogs at the time as well. I was trying to do a lot to get money to spend on ads, and then I was just unprofitable with the ads. So I was just kind of burning money because I was just I didn't know what I was doing. And then very quickly, crypto started to pick up a lot. And this was now beginning 2020. I started to get more into crypto because through this, this dropshipping I was doing, I had a lot of like issues with payment processes. And I just hated this whole system of how difficult it was not only to be underage, but then to be in like, in South Africa, there's a bunch of regulatory issues and things like that. So then crypto is really appealing to me. I like this idea of decentralization in the sense that, there's no middleman that's now telling me I had, bank accounts, banned and all these horrible things happening to me. And I saw kind of crypto again as the solution to that. So then I started delving really deeply into that first Bitcoin, and I bought my first Bitcoin. It was end 2019, 2020. Wasn't a whole Bitcoin, a fraction of one, but at the time it was only a couple $1,000s. And then started learning about ETH and some other coins. And then as Corona came, I became even more increasingly in favor of decentralization. I didn't agree with kind of how the world governments were treating the situation, and I just thought the system is broken, and I saw crypto kind of as a solution to that. So I get it more and more deep into crypto, and at the time I started getting really into social media as well. I was posting kind of the first videos myself, but I was also running social media for some clients. So this was kind of the agency I'm running, also small numbers, but I was basically managing social media for some gaming companies. So I would edit the videos on CapCut, post TikToks, post Instagram videos, post shorts, and basically all of this stuff, just managing their social medias. At the time it was just me, and then later I outsourced a lot of it to India, and I was earning a couple $1,000s a month, and I was just trading with it immediately.
And this was 2020?
Yeah, this was 2020. This was COVID time, 2020. Yeah. And I was just getting really into crypto, but I didn't have much money.
So one thing that I feel like really stands out about you as an individual, it's like how fast your mindset evolved in terms of being focused initially on producing cash flow, right? Because you knew you needed to build that capital, but then being able to switch so quickly in terms of like a more of a investor mindset of like, okay, now I have a bit of cash flow. Yeah, it's only like a few $1,000s a month, but where do I actually put that to work to actually leverage? And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, even myself, like the transition was incredibly slow. I would say only really until this year, I've like made that switch. So I wanted to dive into, before we go too deep into the crypto stuff, I wanted to dive into more so of like the mindset side of things in terms of who were your inspirations or like what were your inputs to kind of make you realize like, oh damn, like the first goal is to cash flow, but then like we need to start investing like now.
I think it was a lot of trial and error. And I think it was just like a young kid with like ADHD. I was just jumping from thing to thing. At the time, it worked out quite nicely to me because I learned a bit of different things. In terms of like who I really looked up to, like everything was just from YouTube. I mean, the OG guys like Emen, I looked up to a lot. Like the early days of Tate in like 2020, 21, I really loved his content as well. Alex Becker always. I mean, he's very big into crypto now, but even back in the ecom days, I was watching him a bit. But I think a problem a lot of people make is that they take like idolize everything from one person. I think I did that a bit when I was younger as well. Just completely look up to, say, Tate or Emen, and the one guy's like this holy grail. But everyone has flaws, and they're all different people. So I think best to take the certain aspects. I think Tate's ability of speaking is incredible. So you can try to learn that from him, or say JFK's like charisma, and whatever it is. If it's now all these different people, take different aspects from them and learn what there is to learn from them, but don't take the whole package. I had that a lot. Like I was like trying to copy paste these big people online when I was younger, because like, okay, like I want to be like them, but like you're your own person, and I think take certain bits from it, but I think as I get older, I've realized that your own person, and they all have flaws, and they all they've all done incredible things, these people looked up to, but they're not they're not Jesus's gold standard of this flawless person.
What's your actual last name? Because I was gonna ask, because you mentioned about the like really looking up to people like Tate and stuff. Is your last name actually Tate?
No, Baalbergen, very, very Dutch surname.
Oh, okay.
And then I had that, and then I got banned because the time I really like looked up to Tate a lot. and I thought I was very much like for a lot of things he said, and it resonated with me. But then I got banned, and then I thought, okay, I'm going to switch
For
it.
having the last name Tate?
Yeah, and sound clips and stuff. I mean, they're very strict because I was also running a lot of theme pages at the time. Like I earned a lot from affiliating for Hustlers University, so I liked them because it was making money. I learned a lot of things from them. I was running a lot of the Tate theme pages, or the whole model with affiliating for HU. And then I got banned for they were just very ruthless. I mean, all my theme pages got banned with Tate, and my main channel as well, because I think they just
What,
Tate
was that
they
on
censored.
TikTok only though?
TikTok, and I got banned on Instagram as well. And I was running a page on both. I mean, they were essentially was pretty hard on them. Like a lot of accounts got like banned. All the guys I knew that were clipping, like they all got wrecked. But then I got banned, and then Neo was Latin. It's Latin for new, so it was like my new account at the same time, like Neo from the Matrix.
Yeah.
So then I kind of switched that, and I've just stayed with that. But Neo or Tate on my real surname, Balbergen. It's Dutch, a little long and difficult for people, not as brandable.
For sure.
But that's my real surname.
So during your, I guess, like journey from, let's say, 12 to maybe 16, what's like a lesson that you learned, or maybe like a habit that you started getting into? Because I knew routines were like pretty big for you very early, like earlier on, that you still have to this day.
Yeah, completely. I think the importance of learning. I mean, I used to have like the 3-hour morning routine. Like I would wake up, ice bath, and I did this every single day, like ice bath, meditate, journal, breath work, and I'm really glad I did it. I can't say I do it now. Like I'm not that consistent with it. I still do some of those things, but definitely not like like I wake up and I do 1 or 2 things and I'm straight to work. But back then I had like this whole like hit list of, because all these DIY and these self-improvement videos I was watching on YouTube, they were preaching it. But once I started to spend a lot more time with like ultra successful people, I realized it's not actually what they do. None of the guys that I know that are worth 100 million or even a billion are doing any of these things. They're just working, which that's what moves the needle. Like it's easy to get focused on doing the ice baths and the reading and all those things, and it's important. I think when you have nothing to do, like when I was again starting out, like I didn't have all these actionable things like I have now. Like better off than go scrolling TikTok is go read a book, go meditate, go do something like that. But now you and me, we have work to do. We have actual things to do. For us, it'd be a better ROI to crack on that work than to go journal. It's so important, or read. But the main thing was the importance of learning. I think I've always been able to learn quite well. I've always done very well in school, and I'm able to pick up things quite quickly. So the importance of learning and like reading books for me has been massive. Not only just actively learning when you're sitting, just listen to a podcast or something, read a book, because the earlier you learn the information, the more time you have to implement it as well. If I read a book today, I have the next 50 years to apply what I learned from it. So the earlier you learn the information, you get avoid all the mistakes, and you have more time of actually implementing. Say you read some incredible information on your deathbed, you can't do anything with it. But the earlier you learn some of these things, the better. But also don't get too obsessed with the theoretical. Almost everything I've learned has been from, in practice of actually being in the markets, losing money. This business flopped. Okay, this video went viral. Why? Actually doing things, you'll learn infinitely more than reading or listening to any podcast.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting point you just tapped into, because I have noticed like you're like a pretty big action taker in terms of being able to translate the knowledge that you acquire into actions and then outputs. I'd love to kind of talk a bit more about kind of like some of your wins in the crypto space. Like, for example, I heard on a podcast you did like a 1/200x on Matic.
Yeah, Polygon
back
Matic.
in 2020. Like, how does a 16-year-old, because I'm guessing that, yeah, there might be like elements of luck involved, but I'm guessing there was a hypothesis behind trades like that. How did you build your whole like trading strategy back then?
Yeah. So Polygon Matic is still, I think it's no longer, it was my most profitable trade until recently this cycle. I've hit a few better ones, but for me that trade literally changed my life in the sense that I was really bullish on Ethereum at the time. And I love Vitalik Buterin. I still like Ethereum a lot. And I was crazy about Ethereum. I thought this was next up, and Ethereum was a couple $100 at this time. But even then the market cap was a couple billion, and I didn't have a lot of money to spend. So I'm like, okay, I thought maybe this could go like 5x. It ended up going like 10x from there. But I'm like, even then a couple $1,000, 10x, like it's not life changing. But then I learned about the importance of layer 2s on Ethereum, and Vitalik was talking about, and he was like, he was himself, the founder of Ethereum, was talking about the importance of layer 2s. It was back, I think in Spaces or Clubhouse, or like he was live on like this channel, and he was saying how important these layers 2s are for like the lifeblood of Ethereum. And then he mentioned this team, and I was like, what is he referring to? and it was the Polygon team I'd come to find out. And I went like autistically deep into like everything about like, where the team went to university, I understood the protocol very well. And this time it was around 50 million market cap, and yeah, it went to multiple billions. I sold some kind of early, and I rode some all the way back down. But that trade, netted me, a good six figures. And at the time, it was about 15, 16, and that's it was very, very good. And I had hit some other things that bull run, and then got a lot into the meme coins, and especially this cycle I've been very, very deep kind of into the meme coins. I'm sure we'll touch on that later. But the hypothesis behind it was, you have in crypto, there's a massive correlation coefficient between Bitcoin and ETH. When Bitcoin moves up, Ethereum moves up, the whole market moves up. And if you believe in Ethereum, layer twos are kind of a leverage play on Ethereum. So it's if Ethereum pumps, the layer twos are going to pump. And I really believe that Polygon would be kind of the winning layer two, and it was. And the reason I got that, undoubtedly there was some luck in it, that I was on the right space at the right time, that connected the dots successfully. And I stepped in with a lot of size. At the time, it was like 80% of my portfolio, which wasn't much money, but to me at the time it was a lot of money. It was like I really bet heavy on that, and I still quite do that with my biggest plays. I take a lot of risk and bet really heavy, because if I believe that this is the right choice, with crypto, there's not much point of diversifying. If you have, tens of millions, and you have, 1% crypto, 3% gold, some stocks, some real estate, then there's point of diversifying. But within crypto, if you believe in crypto, if you believe in Bitcoin, if you think Bitcoin's going to go up, you'd be better off putting it into altcoins, because it's a leverage play in it. If it goes down, the altcoins are going to get wrecked more. But if it goes up like you think it is, it's going to go up more. So if you have 2 or 3 projects that you really believe in, you'd be better off allocating heavily into those than spreading like a lot. And even people like Warren Buffett, their greatest returns have come from a few investments. I mean, without Apple in Warren Buffett's investment portfolio, his returns would be not that extraordinary. Apple alone and Coca-Cola have made him majority of his investment returns. So going very heavily into things you really believe in is the best way to do it.
That's interesting. I wanted to kind of like go back a little bit, because I think you said something that people listening might have missed, which is like the source of your information. So for example, you mentioned that you were listening like to people speak on Clubhouse, like Vitalik Buterin, who's a founder of Ethereum, whereas I feel like the inputs that a lot of people trying to get into crypto or whatever is like Alex Becker's tweets. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, completely. I think, it's easy. People shouldn't listen to me. People shouldn't listen to these 18-year-old kids on the internet. Like, don't listen to me. Go listen to Ray Dalio for a couple hours. Learn from these people that I learned from. And, hopefully in 50 years' time, I'll be someone that's really worth listening to. It's easy for me to say, I know what I'm doing, but I'm still extremely young, and I don't know everything. Yeah. And I've learned everything from people more knowledgeable for me. And then I've, put my own thoughts through it, take everything with a grain of salt, and, believe what I believe. But, people will sit here and listen to, the drop shipping guru that's doing 5K a month, but they won't go sit down and listen. There's hours of Warren Buffett's interviews. I've watched all of them. There's, Ray Dalio, all these people, there's like, people would pay hundreds of thousands to get their courses, but they're all out on the internet completely for free. So much as I like the whole info product, I'm not running thing right now, but I think there's a bunch of people that they get a lot of value from that. But at the same time, there's mega successful people that have done numbers that no one in the info product space has done, and they're sitting there completely for free on the internet, where you can pick, Ray Dalio's brain for a couple of hours, read his books. This is a multi-billionaire that's managing hundreds of billions, and you'll listen to some random kid on TikTok, but you won't listen to one of the most successful hedge fund managers of all time, because it's not as glamorous. Ray Dalio doesn't have the captures and the sound effects and everything like that. But look at the results of their lives, and then check the information from it. Like I until recently, like a week ago, I was still in high school, and done everything I've done while in high school. And at the same time, like your teachers and family, they have the best for like in mind for you. Like, and they're not evil people, but the result of their lives is the result of the information that they have and the actions they took. So if your teacher's saying this and this, being told crypto's a scam, and business it's evil and all of that, and then I look at the result in their lives, and it's not a life that I would want. Whereas if I listen to whatever Michael Saylor talk about, going like, this guy's done it. He's built a multi-billion-dollar company. Like, that's something that I would want. And the result of his life is simply the information, the actions that he took.
Absolutely. So one of the things, obviously with your highs in trading, let's say, there naturally comes some lows, right? Because I saw you post that you were down 250K. Like,
yeah, it was a rough day.
Overnight. I wanted to kind of dive into a bit about like the different L's you've taken, and if there was any that you kind of found challenging to bounce back from, for example. And if you did, how did you actually overcome that and come back stronger?
Yeah, I've gone to complete zero like at least 5 times in the last couple of years. Like literally where I went down to nothing. And then, you know, it started back up with very little money. I remember selling my PlayStations to buy more crypto and to stand a start. And at the time I was using a lot of leverage. The screenshot I posted, which is my biggest ever single loss on a single day, it was 250K. I was 17 at the time, which was like gut wrenching. It was the morning of my English exam. I remember I woke up and I checked my phone because there was some rumors about war. It was the Israel-Gaza, or it was some war situation. I think they just bombed Iran or something.
Yes, and it would have been they just bombed the Iranian embassy, I think.
It was something like that. It was a couple months ago, just before I turned 18. And the markets just free fell, and I had a bunch of leverage on, and I really didn't think like it was gonna do that. I thought it was fun, and along the markets I thought, you know, it's gonna bounce back. It's been tanking a bit, but it just free fell overnight, and I woke up liquidating on everything. I didn't have any stop losses set, so I'd lost at that time. It was like majority of the money I had, and it was the morning before my English exam, my final English exam. So I was just like, I woke up at 4 a.m. to go study because I'd been so busy with things the day before. I'm like, I'm going to study everything the morning of, go write my paper. I woke up, I checked my phone. It's like this sinking feeling in your chest. I was like, fuck. Like I sat in silence for 5 minutes and I'm like, okay, let me go study and then I'm going to go figure it out when I get back from the exam. So I was like ignoring it, and I was just trying to like put it back off. And I wrote my exam, it went well, and then went back home, and I was just like, it hit me again. I'm like, what do I do now? And the difficult part was also is that I have the persona and this public persona of everything. And then it's like, now I don't have anything to back it up, which motivated me even more. And I think the persona for me has been really good to keep me accountable, is because now I need to live up to it. And it's like you have, you know, these constant people and this constant, you know, pressure on you, which I quite like. I think a lot of people wouldn't like that. But for me, I love that because I'm like, I need to get it back. And, you know, a couple of smart plays, and I made that back better than ever. And that's been the only really big loss I've taken quite recently. I mean, it's been a bull market, so it's been super good. Okay. But my other biggest L was when FTX went bankrupt. At the time, I'd actually almost insanely accurately predicted the top of the market. I was in an Uber on my way to my friend's house, and the Uber driver started telling me to get into Shiba Inu and that it was going to make him a millionaire and that he's quitting Uber. And at the time I was reading a lot. I still read a book a week. And I'd literally like a couple of days before been reading when the shoe shiner starts giving you stock tips. That's when you know the market's at its top. And that just played in my head when you were selling me that. And I ordered the same Uber back to my house. I went to my PC and I sold like 80% of my positions. And this was when Bitcoin was at 65K. It was at 15, 16.
This is in Cape Town?
This is in Cape Town.
Crazy. People in Cape Town?
Yeah, Cape Town Uber driver telling me he's going to be a millionaire from Shiba. And I was just like, there's no one left to buy. Retail's in. If the Uber drivers and my school teachers the last couple of weeks are in, like there's no one left to buy. Yeah. And if you understand anything in markets, like the only way it's going to go is down. So I went and I exited everything. And at the time I was using FTX and I was earning interest. And BlockFi was the main platform I was using. I was earning interest on this crypto. I was earning 5-6% a year, which is great because I was earning like a couple $100 a day in interest. That was more than I was even spending. So I was like living completely for free off this interest. But then BlockFi went bankrupt, and although I had most of my money, you know, out of Bitcoin stables, like what I thought was safe, I still basically lost all of it. And at this time, I still had like 20% in the bear market. And that's when I was like, damn, like I made the right decision and I still got lost because the platform went bankrupt.
Interesting. So you basically lost it because of the custodian. But where did the other 20%, was that held on like a Binance or something?
Yeah, I had different. So I had a lot in FTX and BlockFi. Written off basically. I actually got some of the FTX, the BlockFi money back. I had some still like on MetaMask and random things just sitting around. I even had some on a ledger, but like only a couple $1,000. And the rest was like gone. You know, I was like it's there on my phone. Like until recently, like it's there and I refreshed, but I can't withdraw it. So I'm like looking at it was like $500,000. Like I'm looking at it and it's there, but I can't do anything with it. It's frozen. Like it's not mine. So it's like it's imaginary numbers on the screen. Like I couldn't do anything with it.
It's interesting with these like lending platforms because they always pay really like above Fed interest rates by quite a lot. But actually, it kind of makes sense. Like the logic should have been there, but nobody saw it.
Yeah, completely. You know? I mean, it was so obvious, and looking back, it always is so obvious. Like it's a complete Ponzi. I mean, what they're doing.
Yeah,
That's the
'cause
definition of it.
They're basically making it through leverage plays elsewhere and
Yeah.
paying you a kickback.
Yeah, exactly. So
And
they're
if it-
speculating with your money, and it's the same what traditional banks do. But when traditional banks go bankrupt, the government will step in and help them out. But these lending platforms, no one stepped in to save them.
For sure.
So they were just left underwater.
With how you were able to recover from every single loss and bounce back stronger, I know one of the things that you really place an emphasis on is financial literacy and kind of understanding how smart money moves, right? As a part of that, I think it would be really helpful to kind of have your framework in actually learning how smart money do things compared to, I would say, retail investors, for example, because I think it's one of those things that everyone knows that they need to understand and get financially literate, right? But not necessarily everyone knows the path to doing so, because they might just Google how to get financial literacy or how smart money moves in crypto. What was your path in terms of being able to acquire that as a skill?
Yeah. I was always desperate to find out, because as a kid I always wanted to be, I thought the end goal for me was hedge fund, that was what I wanted to do. After seeing the industry, it's not exactly what I want, but I think most people don't understand how deep it goes, in the sense that people think they're going to outperform the market just doing random things. When I walked into these hedge funds that I was interning at, there's teams of 100 analysts looking at one company, every single spec of their balance sheet, exactly what they're doing, the P&Ls, every single thing they scrutinize before they put any money in it. And people on Twitter see a meme going, oh, this is good, they just throw straight into it. So you don't understand how much money is at stake, and these guys don't want to make mistakes. So they're ruthless with it. They scrutinize every little detail. And seeing that was really cool. At the time, I really wanted to learn what this smart money was doing. And I wasn't earning any money in the beginning. I was interning at these funds because I could show all the things I'd been doing in crypto before. I was working in a fund in South Africa that did frontier markets. So basically emerging markets, Brazil, South Africa, third world countries, but they call it emerging markets. And a part of that was crypto. So I was actually at the time sitting as a 16-year-old, I was, kind of lecturing these very smart, TradFi people that are 50, 60 years old, that have been in traditional markets for ages, teaching them what is a blockchain, what is crypto, talking about all of these things. And at the same time, I was learning a lot from them. I was sitting in the back of these conference calls. I was told, you're a kid, so, shut up, don't say anything. But I was just, sitting there, I was just learning, this is what they're talking about. This is how they value companies. These are, things they look at in terms of, even looking at the founders. I mean, they even go through the founders, social medias. What are they looking at? It goes so much deeper than people can imagine. And this was a fund in South Africa. And at the time, I did a really good job. I got along with the people there. I was always very ambitious, worked hard. I always did my part. And I wasn't really getting paid. And I was learning a lot, though. This was in the bear market. And kind of as the market started to pick up, I'm I've learned what I need to learn. I'm burning a lot of hours. I already have school every day from 7:30 to 3. I would go straight to the offices from 3 to 5, 5:30, go home, gym, dinner, and my day's done. I had no time to work my own personal brand on anything I was doing myself. I learned a lot, thank you, and I stopped working there. And then one of the high-ups at the fund asked to introduce me to this very, very successful guy in London, billionaire. He has a fund in London with tens of billions under management. And he was and the fund manager in South Africa was like, hey, you need to meet this kid, to this German billionaire. And then I was excited because this guy, he's big in crypto. He actually, he bought blockchain.com from FTX when they went bankrupt. They had a big rivalry with FTX. A big guy in crypto. You wouldn't he's low key, but if you know this guy. And then we had a call scheduled, and the guy didn't show up, which fair enough. What is this multi-billionaire going to talk with this kid in South Africa, whatever. And then I was reading some articles about, his name was mentioned in there. And then I still remembered I had his email from the Zoom invite. So I sent him an email about this coin. It was BitTense at the time, still one of my biggest holdings. And I really believe in this coin. So I thought, back to the Wolf of Wall Street. And in his interview, Jordan Belfort gave a stock tip, and it landed him the job. I'm like, whatever, what can I lose anyway? So I sent him this coin, very arrogantly, hey, take a look at this. I just sent the ticker and then the deck screener link. And then it went crazy, the coin, in the next couple of months. It ran, I believe, 12x from 50 all the way to 600. And I replied to my own tweet saying, my own email to him saying, hope you got in, winky face. And then I got a reply saying, let's have a chat, kid, because I'm sure he checked, he had the call. And then we actually had a call, and it was meant to be 15 minutes. This guy's super busy, and we ended up talking for an hour. We just really got along. He really liked my story. I was telling him about some things, and he was like, okay, if you're ever in the offices, come past London. We'd love to have you here. And this guy manages a big fund. So I'm like, yeah, I'll be in London in 2 weeks. I had no plans to be in London. So I literally, spur of the moment, I called in sick at school and I went to work for the fund for 2 weeks. And I was staying in the tiniest, shittiest little apartment in like central London. It was still super expensive. And I was just there, and every day I was in the offices. I'd be the first one to show up. So when all the guys came in, I was already there. And I made sure to wait till the last guy leaves, and then I go back home. So, and after a week of doing this, I think, wait, I showed up and this kid was already here. Now I'm going back home, and then this kid's still here. And I was always popping up ideas and things like that. And these guys have way more money than me. They know way more about everything than me, about markets, and maybe not specifically crypto, but they knew their stuff. These are the top of the top. These are the biggest financiers of Europe. And yeah, I made a very good impression with them. And yeah, still a mentor of mine to this day. Is this very successful guy. And the way I learned from this, I actually, I didn't get paid anything for either of these roles. I actually paid money, flights to London, staying in accommodation with no immediate ROI. But I knew that these connections and this knowledge I learned would help me for the rest of my life. And through that, I mean, I sat with some amazing people, some of the earliest guys in OpenAI that were friends with this guy, and some incredible people that I would have never had access to. And the online space is really cool. And you have all these big people, but the money in the TradFi markets, I mean, these guys are doing hundreds of millions of dollars they move in a day. So it's a whole nother level of the game that is quite closed off to normal people, and it's quite scary in the sense of how smart and how incredible these guys are with what they do. I mean, the financiers are really the people that control the world entirely. The conspiracy theories aside, of course, who controls the money controls everything. And these big hedge funds, these big banks, central banks, these are the people that have all the power.
For sure. So while you were in kind of like these circles, whether it be your internships at London or your experience in Cape Town, what was like one piece of advice that like kind of flipped a switch in you? You know what I mean? If you have that.
I always spent so long looking for that piece of advice. I remember as a kid, I would sit and listen to podcasts exactly like this. I sit and watch hours of Emen, Tate, Luke, and everyone. I was always just waiting for this one thing that they were going to say that was going to change things. But that thing doesn't exist. Like, you can sit and listen to a podcast of me or anyone talk. Like, there's no one nugget of information that's going to exactly change everything. There's all these little things that you should take into account. But I feel like everyone has that. And I know I had it when I was younger. It was like I would just spend hours looking for this one thing, this one motivational reel that was going to tell me the one thing that's going to make me go up and go work harder and, get these things done. But that thing doesn't exist. So, you're chasing this fairy tale of this one golden nugget. And I think, viewing it like that, just view it as all these little things that you can learn. But for me, I mean, the best things I've learned was just, the importance of learning itself. Like, not spending time on use of things, but when you have nothing to do, just spend time actively learning. I've read a lot of books, and I'm really happy that I've done that. I spend a lot of time listening to podcasts. I think anyone that's tuned into a podcast like this and listening to the long form, that's extremely beneficial, not only for your attention span, actually learning things, and you're listening to people that are maybe a couple steps ahead of you. And for me, it was, spending time with these highly successful people. I didn't learn that much in terms of actionable things. I learned more about the mannerisms, the way they thought, but you're actually better off listening to someone 2-3 steps ahead of you. You can actually learn the actionable things. But when you're talking to someone that's worth over $1 billion, there's nothing really actionable they can teach you. Their view of the world and their situations are so wildly different that there's almost no value. Whereas if you're making 10K a month and you're hanging around someone that's making 50K a month, that's actually more beneficial to help you get there, because these billionaires don't even remember what they were doing when they were making 6 figures a month. Now that they're earning, hundreds of millions a month, that, they don't even know, like, that was so far down the suit, they don't even know how they got up there, but they can help you get from 500 million to $1 billion, maybe. Every step of the game is so completely different. So I think, learn the general characteristics of how they're thinking and things like that. But even, the guy in your local town that's making 20K a month, you can probably learn a lot more from him than listening to, people that are earning wildly more than you, because, they've just completed that step. They just completed that level of the game. They still remember how they beat it. They can help you beat it as well.
For sure. I think actually one of the, my biggest takeaways from meeting people that are way more ahead of me is just like, it just opens up my horizons in terms of like, oh, actually, I think I could probably do this. It might take me 5 to 10 years, but like, give me some time, So with these mentors that you have in your life, how did you actually go about acquiring them? Obviously, a lot of it is through like things like introductions, but what was, I guess, like if you were to look at like the first point of attribution for everything?
Value. Completely come with value. Everyone that I've met, if they're being online money guys, these hedge fund guys, always come with value, because why do they want you around? If it's like an asympathetic like relationship where you're only taking, there's no value. Like, who wants leeches like around you? And I'll have, a bunch of people in my DMs like you that are just getting started, and it's like, cool, I'd love to help you, but there's nothing in that for me. Like, I can't spend all day replying to DMs trying to get people up. Like, it's impossible. When they come at you with value, hey, I made this for you, then it's like, oh, okay, let me take a look at that, and then immediately there's more value there. Whereas if you're just only one way, like, no one wants that. It doesn't matter what level, if you're making 20K a month or 200 million a year, that these people want people like that around that can provide some type of value. So I think for me, there was a lot of a big selling point for me is my age. I put it in the bio of my Instagram, and I tell it to these people, and they're like, wow, this kid's 17, this kid's 18, and he's doing very well. Like, it gives them a reason to want to invest in you. Like, okay, they see potential, they see, hunger, whatever it is. And in the hedge fund, I'm working really hard, and they can see that, and they appreciate that. So a lot of it for me is age has been a big card that I was always playing, in the sense that it helps me in all aspects, because it's just more unique. There's plenty of people earning the same amount of money that I am, very, very few kind of at this age. And so whatever it is, if it's from your local city and you have some guy that's earning a couple million, you want to help someone from his local city, or you have if you're really young, or whatever your selling point is, I think create something like that and create some type of value with them, and just come with good intentions. If you're coming to someone that's at my level or 10 stages above me, it doesn't matter. They want someone around that has good intentions, that they can actually benefit something from. All the guys I've met have always come with some type of value, because having them in my life is value. It doesn't matter if it's these big influencers, if it's big hedge fund guys. To me, that's super value to know them. But what do they benefit from knowing me? So oftentimes I'll just go ahead and send updates to these guys, like, hey, I just saw this article, this might be interesting for you, just to kind of keep them in my mind and provide some type of value. And I'll read the news, like, what are they doing? Okay, they're merging these companies. Like, hey, I just recently they invested in one of the biggest shisha brands. So I was just looking at articles about shisha. I was trying to find something useful. I'm like, oh, hey, you see, Qatar just made this new law about shisha, and it just knows, like, okay, this kid is looking into what we're doing, and he's trying to provide value. Just subtle things like that. Maybe they already knew about that law in Qatar, whatever it is. But just constantly, bringing some type of value, the reasoning for having them around. Because, the same for you, I'm sure you, with your person, you have a bunch of people reaching out to you. I mean, how did you go about it? You've also, connected with some amazing people, with Emen and, major names in the space. Kind of, how did that process go?
Yeah, honestly, I think it's like a lot of it is through personal brand. That I guess I would actually attribute most of my network to either their first touch point being my personal brand, and then that person introduced me to someone else. But also, actually, I think personal brand helps you with the retargeting stage as well. Like, for example, I would be on a yacht somewhere. For example, I was in Croatia. We chartered a yacht for a few nights, and people already knew me there. It's like, oh, I've watched your videos. Like 2 days ago, I literally got an intro from one of our agency partners, and I hopped on the call, and he was like, yeah, I've been watching you for a couple of years. I was like, and you only booked a call now? Like, what the hell? So yeah, I think personal branding is really, really huge. And I think it's the retargeting aspect that people don't necessarily think about first, because they think the connections would come directly, but actually the barrier and the friction for someone to just cold DM you is like really high, especially if they're somebody. It's normally through introductions, but then it's like everyone does their own due diligence, like if they see the blue check mark and they see like hundreds of thousands of followers with like really interesting posts, and then it's like, okay, cool, this is interesting, so yeah, it's really just the same way as you, pretty much, in terms of like leading with value. Like the YouTube videos are very valuable, but also in terms of like trying to give first in any relationship, in terms of whether it be like an intro that you can make for the other person. I think a lot of people look at relationships very short term, and the way I look at it is like ad spend. It's like in the e-com space, people are trying to like maximize ROAS. But your return on ad spend, or your ROI on whatever spend, if you think about it from like an energy perspective, right? It's like you can only measure that ROI if you apply a certain time frame. So for example, our relationship started, I think, in like Cabo.
I believe so. Yeah.
We just bumped into each other,
yeah.
and I don't know why we even bumped into each other.
It was that the Cape Town trip with
it was the Black Coffee.
Nikolai and all of them. Yeah.
I don't know why we bumped into each other, but somehow we did.
Yeah.
And then for some reason we kept in touch. But it's like having a long-term approach to relationship building, right? Whereas I think like back then, for example, because you were early on in your agency journey, if you came on really aggressively for agency advice, or if I came on really aggressively for crypto advice, then we probably wouldn't be doing this today, you know. But it's more just like giving it time and understanding that not everyone is going to reciprocate the same effort, but the people that do reciprocate, those relationships like are 100x, you know. So yeah, I think it's like people need to understand how to actually measure the ROI of relationships. And that's how I trust people as well. Like if I see someone playing kind of short term in terms of trying to build a relationship with me, it's I'm way more guarded, let's say, you know.
Imagine.
So in terms of like relationship building, then if you were to, I guess like be a mentor to your 14, 15-year-old self, what would be some of the advice that you would give to yourself personally, whether it be, you know, business, life, time management, even, like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, buy more Bitcoin.
Fair enough.
No,
me too.
No, I really was all in. So even to this day, I'm like 95% exposed to crypto. But piece of advice I would give, I mean, I'm happy with where I am and the things that I've gone through. I wish I didn't go to zero and learn lessons so hard so many times. I feel like I could have learned them softer ways. And I think, you know, you only learn things through difficult moments. Like you can make the same mistake like 3-4 times, but until it like really fucks you over, then you're like, okay, I'm not doing that again. And I've had to learn mistakes a couple of times. I just wish I didn't have to learn them so harshly in terms of, you know, so much stress or losing so much money. There's always easier ways to learn something. But then again, I'm happy where I am at the moment. But I think, you know, given a piece of advice, I would also enjoy life a bit more, because I was super dialed in for quite a while. Like, you know, it was like 15, 16, 17. I was like ruthless with my time. I was every day, you know, before school, wake up at usually 4:30 to 5 a.m. You know, I'd meditate, I'd journal, I'd then take my bicycle and go down to the ocean in Cape Town, which is very cold, as I'm sure you know. And I would go sit and do 20 minutes of cold exposure. It's not terribly, it's like 9-10 degrees Celsius, which is cold. And I would just kind of sit in the water, you know, and I'd basically meditate like on the seabed, just go underwater, and I would just be kind of sitting there. And I did that every single day for ages, and it's dark out, and the water's terribly freezing. I've got like some street lamp on the thing, and it's not enjoyable. But I'm glad I did it. I think it formed me into the person I was. And you know, all of those things, they weren't fun to do. I'm happy I did them, but then I'd go to school and I'd be spending the whole day in school trying to get some work done in the back class. I'd go home, I'd either go to the fund, or, you know, I was working as well, go back home. I didn't, you know, I'm rushing to family dinner to quickly go back upstairs to work. And you know, I think those are the best moments, you know, those laughs at the family dinner, you know, a bunch of those parties and stuff that I said no to. Even though I'm glad I did it, it's also like, you know, I didn't really need to do, or I didn't miss it all. Like I was always quite an extremist in the sense that like I'm 100% into it, or I'm like not at all. Like I never really liked the middle ground. I'm quite an extreme person about like my health and things like that. Like I take it to the extreme. I was doing you know 4.5 day fast, and I was doing you know, a lot of things like quite intensely. And I've always been an extreme person, and you know, rubs some people the wrong way. And you know plenty of arguments over the dinner table about about this and about that. And I think it's difficult for people to understand sometimes. So I wish I found more middle ground and enjoyed the childhood a bit more, because I look back and like I definitely didn't have the typical childhood, like from like I think I crossed like 6 figures in crypto around early like 15, which is quite unique, and then multiplied it so much since then, and being so focused. I mean, still every 50 minutes I'm checking the markets. I'm in the back of class, I'm like freaking out. I'm not allowed to go on my phone in class. I'm like trying to see, I've leveraged positions open. So it's definitely a unique upbringing, and I'm happy it happened, but I do at some stages miss the football matches I said no to with the friends, and a house party that I said no to because like, oh shit, there's whatever interest rate hikes, like I need to be on the markets today. So I miss some of that, but in the end I wouldn't trade for anything.
For sure. So I feel like we've covered enough in terms of like your journey so far, but I know also you talk a lot about legacy, vision, and I notice that you're very like future oriented as a person. I think majority of my friends are. I myself am too. In terms of kind of like your plan, I guess, for the short term, next 12 months, what is it? And also, where do you see crypto going, actually? That I find that's quite interesting to ask, because this idea of like the top of the market is very different.
Yeah, I'll touch on the crypto first. I heavily, wholeheartedly believe in crypto and have completely for the past 5 years. And although I think I got lucky in some aspects, I remember plenty of times in the bear market where I'm telling people, hey, like I just earned 5K this month, like I'm putting it all into crypto. And people just laughing at me. I remember my teachers like laughing at me, like this is a scam, because a lot of them bought towards the top and lost money. And even like everyone around me, like even friends, people that were kind of in the space, in the bear market, a lot of people lost belief in it. When it's going up, it's easy to believe in something. But when it's getting wrecked, FTX, it was the collapse, all the war situations. I mean, it was down like bad. I mean, Bitcoin from 69 to around 14. And I remember, buying it very heavily again at 20, which was like quite near the lows. And I was like sitting on my phone, like trembling, like clicking the buy button. I'm like, this is like all the money out. Like I have, like I'm really all in on this. And it was, quite scary at the time, but I really did believe that we would come back to a bull market like we are now. In terms of crypto, I still think meme coins are massive. Potential is limitless, because it is really a way to monetize attention. And you have all these internet communities forming, and all these different, from memes to you have all these different spaces in crypto. If it's now about influences, if it's about certain narratives, you have all these different communities forming, and meme coins are a way to monetize, like how much attention is this getting? How, you have some current event happening, Hawk Tugo or whatever, I mean, that got rugged, but you could just see how much attention, the coin went to 500 million, there's 500 million of monetized attention on that meme. And you have all these different communities, and it's community focused. A lot of people, think that the influencers control the market. It's mainly these cabals and these communities that are doing it, and they run so much further than the coins that are just. So I think over the next 12 months, I think meme coins have become more and more prevalent. I do think we'll see the market top within 12 months from now. But in terms of meme coins specifically, it's gone from this, really type of very speculative gambling that it was, I believe, last cycle. Now it's become kind of the best entry level thing for crypto people, because it's very understandable. I think people are tired of this lies and these illusions of this big tech. Everyone got busted last cycle by all these big promises of this is the Web3 Google, this is the Web3, and all these buzzwords and all this, just basically selling nothing. They're selling vaporware and all these, projects with all these big promises and roadmaps that never got completed. People are tired of that. And I think, meme coins are kind of the best entry level. It's simple to understand. It's speculative. People know it's speculative. They're not being lied to. This is the picture of the dog. You like it, you don't like it. There's no promises that it's going to change the world. And people like that. And funny enough, now a lot of the TradFi, like these big hedge fund guys, they're getting into meme coins. It's kind of funny how we've now convinced the smartest and greatest minds in finance to start being degen gamblers on certain meme coins. And I know for a fact that there's these big cabals of TradFi guys now launching their own coins and spending money on marketing on their own coins, because they see the amount of money. It's retarded how much money there is. I've seen kids I know, even my editor, I pay him, he's an Indian guy. I pay him $500 every couple of weeks, and he in Solana, and he goes and bets it. He made $20,000 from this coin I sent him. And he's like, this is more money than anyone in my family has ever had. Like, he had showed me his friend like 20K. And it was like ridiculous. I mean, like things like that happen. But the problem is that it's a zero-sum game. For every cent that I win and someone else wins, someone loses. So you have a bunch of people that lose very small and a few people that win really big. And these are the cabals, some of the influencers, the market makers. These are the people that win really big, because it's a pot of money that everyone puts something into. And if you know how to play it well, it's similar to poker. Like, you can have an edge in meme coins, and I'm wildly profitable with it. But if you're just hit me, stay, like, if you're just buying random things from Pump Fund and Dex Screener, you're going to get wrecked. People don't understand how organized it is. You have these massive cabals, these Telegram chats I'm in, where it's organized. I mean, these people, everything from manipulating the charts. Okay, they can say, okay, we're going to send it 40% down. Let's get the weak hands out, so that they'll all sell, create a massive red candle. People panic sell out, and then they'll get back better entries. And they're only made up on the way up. They made it on the way down as well. And massive coordinated sells with shorts. I've been in Telegram where everyone is like, okay, we're going to short this, and this thing just absolutely just nukes. So you have all this manipulation that's happening in the markets, and you don't see any of that from the outside. So I can't like recommend people to get into meme coins. Like I've made 6 figures alone this week of meme coins, but it's not very replicable for a lot of people. Like I can't recommend, so I don't sell info or anything because it's not replicable what I do. It's like quite unique to me, the people I know, the the rooms that I've been in and the connections. And it's all about kind of sharing what we call alpha, which is kind of information that you have. Okay, I believe this is going to happen, this influencer is going to talk about it, whatever it is. So it's not super replicable. And meme coins for a lot of people is just gambling. But if you get deep in the space, you connect with good people, and it doesn't need to be the craziest high level people, like say people that I know, but it can be anyone that some guy that's pretty good at trading, some guy that has some friends in some places. Like you just need some type of insight. You don't need to be hitting these crazy $100 million coins, but coins that go from 50k market cap to 250k market cap, that's still a 5x, and you can catch those. And there is a science behind it. If you really look into everything, from terms of a lot of what I do is tracking smart wallets. So I look into Peanut. Okay, so this was a big coin. I look at 3 of these big coins. You can just filter by wallets that were in all of these, say under 50 mil market cap. Okay, these are the 3 wallets that were in all 3 of these big coins before they pumped. Okay, what other trades are they taking? Oh, okay, they just bought 50 SOL of this. Let me throw in a SOL in that. And you start to learn, like, these wallets is all transparent. That's the beautiful of the blockchain, is that, we can see every move that's happening. So you can track these guys that are spending a bunch of money that are in these alpha chats. You can track those guys. And that's a good way to do it for most people, is just, find some people that are profitable, and you can literally just copy their exact trades.
So with that, what's the tech stack that you use to find these wallets?
Yeah, I mean, just from deck screen is like the main thing you can use to watch. And there's a bunch of Telegram bots. Basically, you get pinged every time these wallets. You just get the contact address, and you can filter by just on Etherscan. There's a bunch of very simple ways. It's nothing complex at all. And then there's Telegram bots, basically, where you just put in the wallet address, and I'll get a ping, a notification every time, and you can label the wallet. So, for example, I know this is in Binance Insider Wallet, because he's been every coin before seen listed on Binance. This guy's bought in, so I'll get a ping. Binance Insider Wallet just bought 500 SOL worth of this. Like, oh shit, what's happening here? I'll throw some in immediately. And you even have some of them just copy traders, just from Trojan or whatever, bots on Telegram. You just put in a wallet and you set a percentage, okay? I mean, oftentimes these wallets are playing with thousands of Solana, which is like, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So you can just put it, say 1%. So when they throw in 100 Sol into something, it takes 1 Sol out of your wallet and does the exact same move. And when they sell, it's the same thing. But the problem is when you have a lot of these wallets that are like hyper tracked, you have these wallets with 10,000 people tracking them, then everyone front runs each other and they create like their own pumps. So you need to spend some time and find your own ones. Like the ones that are public already, they're no good. Like just spend time, and it's quite easy. You can just filter by what's in this coin under this market cap. You can do all of that, and it's very easy to do. And for the rest, it's just picking up trends and narratives. And I think a lot of the young people listening to this, we spend a bunch of time on TikTok and these type of things. A lot of the alpha guys I'm talking to, they're 35 years old. They have no idea what any of these brain rot meme coins. They have no idea what's happening. A lot of these people, like the Chill guy, was one of the ones. It was cabal pretty heavily, but a lot of people that were just on TikTok, normal guys that got into this coin went to 700 million, and just regular people that saw the meme got in earlier than a lot of these insiders. And another beautiful thing about meme coins is that it's all basically fair launch, in the sense that oftentimes it's bundled, but there's no pre-sales on it. There's no, all these VCs and people that were in early. A lot of these, big promise projects last cycle, they're riddled with pre-sales. They're riddled with all these things that they're just going to dump that tokens on the market when they got them way under valuations. With meme coins, everyone has to buy it from open market. Even the team launching, when it's a fair launch, they have to buy up supply. Of course, they bundle it very quickly, but there's no hidden wallets that are on some vesting contracts. There's no pre-sale and they're going to dump immediately. So it's a more fair way of playing it. And for majority of people, they'll lose money, but if you can figure out what's happening, it can be insanely profitable.
For sure. So most of the screenshots on your Instagram story are just copy trades?
No, I mean, those are a lot of my own. A lot of that's some of them are copy trades. So the screens are from a bot called Trojan, which is basically what I use to trade. It's the same. You can just use Phantom, and sometimes a couple 1,000% gains. I mean, this morning I literally just threw 3 Sol into something, and I woke up like 8 hours later, and it was worth 10k. It was actually 300x, but I sold too early. Now it's sitting even way higher. And you have those. I had a lot of players, like even with Peanut, like I got in retardedly early. Like I missed out on what would have been like $3.5 million. But you can always think like, oh, I lost like this, but it's all paper money, Like it's terrible to think, okay, I missed out on this play. I got in so early, and profit's profit. And one of those things hedge fund guys told me was, no one's ever gone broke from taking profits. And that's been a lot of my mentality with these coins, is that I can miss out on the 10,000x when hitting a 10x, but a 10x is a 10x, and I'm happy with a 10x. So, don't go broke trying to trace like the insane screenshots. Like, take profits, and, once something is up a certain amount, and I think, would I buy more now? And if I wouldn't buy more now, then someone else won't. So that's when I would sell. If it doesn't make sense to buy something at 50 mil market cap and it's just gone from 5 to 50, it's like, I wouldn't buy this at 50 mils and no one else would. So that's when you sell at that point. And if you think like that, and the same when something dips, like, would I buy now? I bought in at 1 mil, now it's sitting at 500K. Like, would I buy now? Like, I'd buy now. It's 500K, this is undervalued on this coin. Then I'd stick around. But, if there was the thesis was it was going to pump and it didn't pump, then, price action alone is enough to be a reason to get out.
Awesome. So one thing that I thought was that you mentioned in one of the other podcasts was that you wanted to spend a couple months in solitude. I'm guessing that's like the plan after the bull run, right? To kind of figure out what the next steps would be.
I've got that planned pretty soon, actually, in early Feb. So right after the summer, it's like it's quite intense. But also, I think our generation, we've grown up, with the TikTok, with the phone, like constant dopamine. So what I'm doing is like a silent retreat, basically. So it's 10 days. And it's quite intense. Like, you're not allowed to speak to anyone. Of course, no phone. You can't even bring only plain clothes. You can't even bring anything branded because it's too much dopamine. No fragrances. You have to even black out like the ingredients on your toothpaste, because people get so bored they start reading the ingredients on their toothpaste. And so every morning it's 4:30, wake up. You do 4 hours of meditation. There's no bed you sleep on. It's on a hard wooden floor, and it's like completely like this monk mode protocol to the max. And all you eat is plain rice and lentils, because any other food is too stimulating. So it is like complete like zero on the dopamine. No music, no anything. You're not allowed to look at anyone. It's quite intense, and a lot of people don't make it through. One mentor of mine that's this judo black belt. He's like an insanely very, very disciplined guy, and he said it's like the most difficult thing he's ever gone through. I'm excited to try that. I like doing difficult things. Like, I got really into boxing. I had my first fight as well. I'm not sure if you saw any of that. I think doing these difficult things, you always feel great afterwards. I think that'll be one of the most difficult things I've done, because I'm always trying to do something, and quite a dopamine filled life in a lot of aspects. So bringing it down to complete zero will be difficult, but I think those are the best things to do, those difficult things.
Interesting. What do you think would be your, I guess, like next steps after this bull run ends?
So I'm not here to stick around forever. I'll take profits. I personally think at the end of Q1, so in about 5 months, that we'll see the top. I think it will come sooner than people think, and maybe Q2. But at some point, I'm not going to be left, standing when the music turns off in the club and the lights turn on. I don't want to still be on the dance floor. I'm off. I'm back home, and at this point, I have a good amount of money sitting that I don't want to lose. I never want to go back down to zero. I've been through it a couple of times. I don't think I'll go through it again. I'm out of leverage now, so done a bunch of things to prepare myself for it. But I'll slowly exit. Already now I have some in stable coins I won't touch, and moving those stable coins over into real estate and some other things. Like, I don't want to. I've been through this whole saga once, and I've learned from it, and I don't want to go through that whole thing again. So the market will end. A lot of people will lose all the gains that they made. And I timed it right last time, and I don't expect to time it as right again this time, even though I know more and I'm more connected. No one knows where the market comes. Everyone's buying the dip, and then the dip keeps dipping and it never recovers. And so something like that can easily happen. It could happen tomorrow, and I'm ready for that case scenario. But I still believe that we'll have gains. But the last 20% of the bull run is where a lot of the gains happen. It's always quite a blow off top, and then a massive crash down. And for me, that extra incremental 20% gains isn't worth losing 80% of my portfolio for. So I'd rather pull out a bit too early. Say you pull out 150K Bitcoin, it goes to 180. It's like, okay, a lot of people get FOMO, step back in, but I'm okay with not catching the peak top. At some point, it's enough money for me, and I don't need to stick around to get just that 20% more.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, in terms of just general misconceptions, because I think you on social media, a lot of it is lifestyle marketing, clips of a successful quote like Pav, you made it or whatever. But I know you've obviously in real life, and every time we've had a conversation, it's been like really intellectual. I can tell you're super smart, super switched on, very dialed in. What do you think are some of the misconceptions people might have of you if, for example, they came and this is like the first long form they've ever watched of you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I plenty of misconception, but I also understand why. I mean, if I saw some kid that's clearly doing well, and he has it's all the lifestyle stuff. I don't really post as much of kind of the behind the scenes and the stuff like that. And I will eventually. I'm doing a lot more of the long form, but also for TikTok, I have your attention for 10 seconds. The only thing that's going to keep around is these heavy edited videos. The lifestyle stuff is what people want to see. And I used to optimize quite a lot for views. Like I used to be really dependent on getting these views, and I was obsessed. I was doing like 30 million views a month, which was really, really good. Like I think in the young entrepreneur space, definitely one of the biggest ones, like at least under 18. And I don't really care about the views anymore. Like I haven't posted on TikTok in like 9-10 months because also I have no funnel now. I have nothing to sell people, and I'm really just earning money from the markets. But I think it's easy to have misconceptions. I don't blame them. I don't hold anything against them. A lot of it is like daddy's money or all these things, or just got really lucky. And like I completely understand. Like I would probably feel the same. Like I can't judge them if it's a pretty fair assumption to make. Like you don't know all the intricacies, and I don't really care for it. I'm beyond the I know I'm undeniable to myself, and I know what I've done. And I think as time goes on, my content has kind of evolved from that. And style of content even a year ago is quite different to what I'm doing now. I'm not posting much now, but I'm moving away from a lot of the lifestyle stuff because I'm less careful for the views and those type of things. And also, I earn nothing from my social media right now, so I'm not very incentivized to, really post that much at all.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I before we wrap up, I wanted to do kind of like 6 rapid fire questions.
Let's do it.
So first one is, what's one of the best books you've read recently?
Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. I've read it 5 times. I brought it with me to Dubai. It's the only book I'm reading here. It's one of the few books. It's by far Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco in terms of like actual value, but in terms of mindset, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, because it's the only book you'll ever read that the author isn't writing it thinking about what's the reader going to think. Any book you read, the author's thinking, okay, my mom's going to read this. What is she going to think? My wife is going to read this. What is my coworkers going to think reading this? Whereas Meditations from Marcus Aurelius is just his raw thoughts. It's unfiltered. Everything else you read is filtered, which makes it non-organic. Because this is his own diary. He'd be rolling in his grave if anyone was ever reading this. Like he didn't intend for anyone to read this. So you get the raw insights into one of the most powerful men in all of history. He was the Roman emperor at its peak of Rome, and all around a good guy in all aspects in terms of he was highly intelligent, he was stoic, he was very forgiving, he was extremely powerful, he was merciful, and at the same time he ruled basically an entire known world. He had unlimited gold, he could have had unlimited women, unlimited everything, and his way of thinking and his way of carrying out through all accounts from his own to everyone that's written about him, and he's very well documented. He was one of the most famous people in the time, and he was just truly like he had everything, and he didn't care for any of the material things, which I think is respectable. And I can't say I'm anywhere near that. The material things are still cool to me, but he had everything and still chose to lie on the hardwood floor when he didn't have to.
Absolutely. So question 2 is, while doing research for this podcast, I saw on the biography of your IMDb that you're worth 4 million. Over or under?
Under 4 million. I can say 7 figures, but not 4 million. That's under 4 million. I can tell you that. I think by the time by the end of the bull run, I'll be there, but not far off, but under.
Awesome. What's one habit that you couldn't live without?
I like ice baths. I get told a lot for ice baths.
Really? You still continue that?
I still continue them. Not only, I think the physical aspects of ice baths are quite overrated. I like the mental aspects because I hate the cold. It's one of the things I hate the most is the cold. And that's why I like doing ice baths, because once you've done it, it's like so innately difficult for the body, is ice baths. And it's like, no one enjoys it. It's the worst thing. I actually hate them. But once you do it, you feel really good. I think because the human body doesn't like it, it's exactly why you should do it.
Makes complete sense. Yeah, I take the same with like fasting. I I've done like 2 72-hour fasts.
Amazing, yeah.
It's been really difficult, but like actually I don't think the physical benefits, like from a health perspective, was as great, because I don't think, I mean, you don't really feel the autophagy and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've done a couple 100-hour fast. I think it's good, and I think day 2, 3 is always the most difficult, and you gotta get the clarity quite after that.
Absolutely. So if you couldn't work on business or making money in general for the rest of your life, what would you spend your time doing? Provided money wasn't an issue, but like you're not like a billionaire, you know what I mean?
As a kid, I always wanted to be a sports player. Like I wanted to be a footballer. I used to play for like Ajax's academy back in the day. I still like the idea of being an athlete. But I mean, for me, business has become like since so young. This has been like, this is what I wanted to do. At a time also where I wanted to be like a pro gamer when I was like 9, 10. I think like a lot of us. But if money wasn't an issue, I'd just focus on the development of self. It's still what I do, and I think it makes you a lot of money. Is literally just ironing out self in terms of fitness, in terms of health, in terms of mindset, reading, learning. I would just spend as much time as possible becoming the best version of me, regardless of money, knowledgeable, fit, healthy, and just becoming just the best version of myself.
For sure. What material things are you looking forward to getting?
I still have a long road ahead of me, and I want to reach the top of the material game. But Luke mentioned to me is like, there's different games in life. Is that you don't want to play the money game forever. For the next 5 years, I'm playing the money game. I'm going to make as much money as possible in ethical ways and in ways that contribute. And then I'm out. I'm going to move to the family game. The game of kids, the game of self. I'm not in this game forever. I think a lot of people. Once I think I reach 50 to 100 million, which I think I will in 5, maybe 10 years from now. But once I reach that, I'm not striving to 500 million, a billion. I don't care for it. I think there's no need for it. And I think at that point, even with 500 million, you're more in this matrix, this system, than someone that has far less is. So I think play the game and get out. I'm not here to stick around working these long hours, putting myself through all this stress forever. I'm in this game. When I'm out, I'm going to move to the game of family, play the game of self-development, and just move on to the next chapter.
For sure. That's actually one thing I think is really cool, when people admit like what is enough for them. Because I think a lot of people, especially I feel like younger guys who've hit like a couple M's really early, like under 25, let's say, they're like, oh man, I want to chase a bill. I'm going to do this until I die. And I'm just like, honestly, past 50 to 100, I think there's very little utility.
What more do you want to buy?
Exactly. Like, I don't really want to own yachts and jets. Rent that part, yeah, exactly.
Get them for the week,
For sure. So one thing I know that is you're super big on gift giving. I heard, I don't know who exactly you gave this to. I think it might have been the London hedge fund guy, the statue of Socrates, to kind of position yourself as the student. Yeah. What are some of the other gifts that you really loved giving?
I always give necklaces. This is recent. I have these nice necklaces from Cape Town. I often give those, for people. And I'm staying at Eric's place in Dubai. I gave him one, and it's just something that's quite easy to wear and it's quite memorable. I gave Luke a very nice pen. I'm a fan of gift giving, especially when they've done a lot for me. A lot of these guys have, if it's letting me learn from them, if it's letting me, whatever it is, a gift is just, I think, a sign of appreciation. So I think, that they're important, but also, it's never about the monetary value of the gift. I think you could give some Louis Vuitton bag, who cares, Whereas you give something for like that statue, or the pen I gave Luke was like from an Argentinian wood, and that's where he's from. So trying to attach some type of meaning behind it, and spending a little bit of thought. I think people appreciate the thought more. Not sure if Luke ever used the pen. Not sure if he threw away the statue, but it's the thought, of when you're giving these people these gifts that matter a lot more than. No, they don't care about the monetary value. These people have money. So I think the thought in there, it's just a physical form of appreciation.
Absolutely. Cool, man. So, yeah, pleasure having you on. Really great having you.
Thank you.
Good speaking. And yeah, thank you guys for watching.
We'll see you for the next one. Back in Cape Town at my place. Well, I'm interviewing you in Cape Town.
I'm super down for that.